Okay. Welcome to Wednesday, February 28th. We have our royalty-free music in the background. Epidemic Sound Instrumental, which there's no royalties and we're allowed to have it in our background, like as if we were in a dentist office. Nice instrumental, kind of upbeat. Get your blood moving. You can have that turned down a little bit. I have it on at this volume level because let's turn it down. There we go. So that we're constantly streaming. You know, when you're streaming, this is a Simulcast. Not only a simulcast, it's a Simulcast. I don't know if that's a word, but because Twitter Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live are broadcasting myself, me, myself, and I, the three of us, across all three networks at the same exact time at 10:31 a.m. this morning, Wednesday, February 28th. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. So let's take a look at what's going on in the news today. Let's turn up the brightness on this thing a little bit so I can see what I'm looking at. Well, in the case with Miss Willis, Fannie Willis, Mr. Bradley, you can see with this with this image. You see him right there. He is sweating it out because the Trump defense team is just squeezing. You know, he's bobbing and weaving. I don't recall this and I don't recall that. You know, he's either dumb as a stump or he's, you know, not telling the truth. There are tens of thousands of text messages, emails, and pings from the cell system, you know, at least on 35 occasions or 34 occasions, they had him triangulated right at her place. So he shows up at 10 o'clock at night, and then, you know, at 4 in the morning, he's leaving. Well, why would he leave? You think they were talking about the case? Not a legal case. You know, so and he knows what's going on between the two of them, Mr. Wade, Miss Willis, because Bradley, you know, I think Bradley and Wade were in the same law office, you know, and then Bradley was let go, and Wade quit the practice so that he could end up being Miss. Well, I don't exactly have the timeline and all that, but anyway, he was on the stand, you know, almost all day yesterday, or at least all morning. And there's the judge, and you know, he's let me get rid of this double jeopardy look here. Yeah. I gotta figure out which camera's which. There we go. We want to get rid of that one. There we go. And now we're going to click this one more time. Yeah, I'm the producer. I'm the janitor. I'm the stagehand. I'm the technical guy. I'm running this whole network thing through my MacBook Pro, or my MacBook Air, actually, 15-inch screen MacBook Air, the newest model. It was fabricated and sent, like December of last year or January of this year. I think December of last year. So it was built, for me directly, because I wanted a terabyte of memory storage, and I wanted 24 gigabytes of unified memory. And I'm using 47% of that currently with this broadcast. Physical memory is 24 gigabytes. Memory used is 11 gigabytes. And 2 gigabytes of that is wired. I mean, it is wired tight. And what that wired means is that the application software, which is associated with Ecamm Live, which is the software app that's recording all this stuff from my soundboard, bringing it in here, and then I've got, a couple of iPad Pros working here, and so wired means the operating system for the MacBook Air itself, which uses about 1.7 gigabytes wired. So the application is like in memory all the time for the processors and everything to get to without having to swap it in and out of, another storage place. Although the storage here is on a silicon chip. It's 1 terabyte on, probably 4 chips that are kind of wired together to come up with the 1,000 gigabytes. So, excuse me, I had to sneeze. Didn't want to sneeze in the microphone, so I kind of backed away and say, "Whoa, wait a minute." Anyway, so. Facebook Live just dropped out of being in live mode, so they're either going to pick up the rest of this. But Twitter and what do you call it? Are still Twitter and YouTube Live. Or YouTube Live hangs in there pretty good for the duration. I usually try to keep it under an hour. You see this. You see this device over here. Black doodad right there. My Growlad timer. Dug it out of my boxes. Vintage, about 1958, something like that. Had it in as a darkroom timer. I had a little darkroom set up in the basement of my place where I grew up. My father built it. Anyway, so it goes backwards. So I clicked that on right when this broadcast began, 10 minutes ago. And you can see 10 minutes, because that's a 1 hour timer. And I got 50 minutes to go to complete an hour. If I can yak that long. Anyway, look at this judge. This is a big thing for him to deal with, because Miss Willis and Miss Mr. Wade filed a false declaration to the court. It's a serious questionnaire that the court requires, and they misstated when they started being romantically involved. And there is an eyewitness that says, you were fooling around long before 2000. Dating back to 2018, 2019. Forget about 2021. November 2021, I think, is the magic date. And the issue at hand here, just in case you hadn't been paying attention to it, I've been paying a little bit of attention to it. Not as much attention as this guy has been paying to it. But, the matter between these two, Willis and Wade, is that they filed a false affidavit to the court. And Mr. Wade and Miss Willis said we were not romantically involved, before November 2021. And there's an eyewitness, a lady or something. She was a female, formerly in the same office as, I think, Miss Wade and Miss Willis, rather. And Mr. Wade would show up to the office, and they'd be kissy bear huggy, And this eyewitness, noticed these guys are kind of a little bit all over each other for casual, legal interest. There was more than a legal interest. There was a physical interest. And this other lady eyewitnessed this for years before November 1st. Of 2021. You see that date? November 1st, 2021. That's a magic time right there. And this guy was bobbing and weaving because he knows darn well. And they have either email or text message testimony that contradicts his bobbing and weaving now. So, and if he doesn't watch it, he's going to... these guys could be put before I guess it's the Georgia, you belong to the Bar Association when you have a law license. You could be disbarred. You could have your law license, rescinded. There's all kind, these people are in, not only is, Wade and Willis may get thrown off this case because they lied to the court. And they were, had love interests while they're trying to concoct a case against 18 defendants, including a former president. So the riff with the love interest is, not that it clouded their judgment, but it probably did, is that she overpaid. She hired Mr. Wade to be the lead prosecutor against these 18 witnesses, defendants, including President Trump. And she paid him $100 an hour over what every other, prosecuting attorney would be getting in Georgia. Atlanta, this and that, and you want to get the best prosecuting attorney you can get. And they picked this guy, and he's, basically in small claims court or, driver's licenses, car accidents. He's never had a case like this. And he was overpaid, way overpaid. So what the defense attorneys are basically saying, you overpaid this guy, and then the two of you went on lavish trips, which he could then afford to provide to you. And then you're saying you reimbursed him all the time in cash? tens of thousands of dollars in cash every time you went on one of these lavish trips. You overpaid him, and he could then afford to take the both of you on lavish trips, and you took 6 lavish vacations in a 5-month period of time. Who the hell has time to do that? Well, the two of you made time to do it, and that's misuse of public funds. So those two could be in a, she's Attorney General. She could be, she could be thrown out, or District Attorney, whatever. District Attorney, I think. Yeah, District Attorney, not Attorney General. District Attorney. Well, she may be, she'd be praying to hold on to her law. The case is going to get thrown out of that court, or at the very least, this is from a non-lawyer. I barely know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to talk anyway, because, I have opinion about almost everything. I try to keep Marilyn keeps elbowing me to keep my mouth shut, Oh, God. I'm sitting, in a restaurant, I'm talking to the people next to me and all this stuff. Oh, boy. Anybody that'll listen, I'll talk. I looked over we were having cappuccino and a little dessert. I stopped at Sequela, one of the local places here. And there's a table, tables are packed, relatively tight. So I look over to this tables next to us. There's only about 8 inches apart, a foot away from me. And I said, boy, you guys got some pretty exciting looking colors on your kicks there. They had these iridescent red and iridescent blue sneakers on. Holy mackerel. I said, those suckers glow in the dark. So how you all doing over there? He said, hey, yeah, we're doing fine. There's 2 guys and a lady. And, and they're, 28 years old, I had to guess. 25 years old. So we were laughing around a little bit. And Marilyn said, don't engage. I always engage. Come on, stop it. I promise I won't shoot. So, and they're big guys. So I'm, anything but a big guy. Big 5'8", and crowding 80. Crowding. I'm not there yet. I'm not even at 79 yet, but I'm crowding it. Whew. Anyway, so let me have a little sip of tea. So I looked over the guy, so about a half hour later, I look over to the really big guy. And I said, you haven't finished your eggs. Lady says, no problems. And I swapped her. She says, I'll eat them. I said, okay. Permission granted. Oh, boy. Anyway, you had to be there. You should have been there anyway. Anyway, so this judge is, he's dealing with this question because it's brought up. And, it's an unfair prosecution. The feds looked all over this case. This has to do with, trying to deal with the elections in Georgia. Trump didn't have anything to do with, whether or not, he questioned some of the, what was the monkey business going on with the counting of the votes. But he didn't try to interfere with the, the overall state, going for Biden, although he was challenging it. You don't go to jail for challenging something. But anyway, the feds looked all over it. Said, "There's no evidence here. We're not charging Trump or any of these other 17 defendants." So they took a big pass. Well, Fannie decided, no, I'm not going to take a big pass. I'm going to make a big deal out of it because the Democrats want to be suing Trump anyway from Tuesday. Well, so now the case is make it in the hands of another district attorney, and he may just say, you know what, the feds didn't see anything here. I don't see anything here. I'm dropping the case. And then that'd be the end of it. And then Fannie and Wade would be adjudicated for whether they're going to lose, whether they're going to get thrown out of the Georgia bar or not. And their license could be at risk. When you're an officer of the court, you can't lie to the court. It's pretty basic stuff. And when you've been an attorney for, a decade or 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever long they've been practicing attorneys, when you're an officer of the court, you don't, you may be presenting to the court, we have an adversarial system, so you're allowed to, speak up for your, for the client that hired you. Whether you're defending something or whether you're prosecuting something, whether you're chasing somebody. But you're not allowed to lie to the court. You fill out affidavits, you sign your name on it, it better be truthful. And they lied to the court. And they caught them lying to the court, particularly with this love relationship that they tried to say didn't happen until after November 2021, which is the date that she hired Wade to be, the lead prosecutor, overpaying him by, leaps and bounds. And then they were spending all kinds of money on fancy trips all of a sudden. Well, those are public funds because they overpaid Wade. That's the sum total of what's going on there. So this guy's bobbing and weaving because Bradley was, either a law partner or Wade. I didn't take notes when I listened to the testimony, but he was definitely trying to evade all the questions. And some of the questions he's already answered. So he's contradicted himself because he's called on the stand twice. And when he would step out of bounds, his lawyer would object to something. We're basically trying to steer his witness. And you're not supposed to coach your witness, particularly when they're on the stand. The dummies are supposed to memorize stuff. So this guy here, Bradley, is telling the judge, I'm going to have to ask you to restate the question. So he's like bobbing and weaving. Could you ask the question again? I kind of forgot. And, I don't recall this and I don't recall. It's, you could tell just from the human level that this guy was bobbing and weaving and mostly bobbing. So this judge has got to, he's hearing final arguments, tomorrow, I think. They have a day off while they, put their final arguments together, and then they, I think, come before the court on Thursday or Friday of this week. And then that'll finish off, that sidebar, basically. And then this judge has to decide what he's going to do with Fannie Willis and Mr. Wade. Because they lied to the court. And the defense lawyers caught them and brought it to the court's attention, and this judge ain't happy. And I hope he throws the book out. Okay, breaking news. Oh my God, what happened? Donald Trump defeated Nikki Haley in the Republican Michigan primary. And Donald Trump was declared victorious just minutes after voting ended. And he beat her by 40%. That's, phew. And last week, he demolished her in her home state. So the Koch brothers pulled out before Super Tuesday and said, "Nope, we're not going into any ad campaigns with you." So there's some major donors that are backing away from Nikki Haley because she hasn't won anything. All she's doing is making a lot of noise, and that noise is not, it's not good for the Republican Party to have people speaking against each other. It's Democrats are unified, and the Republicans need to unify, and they certainly are, because in any other political race that Trump has been in, the primary voting has never been this persuasively in his pocket, so to speak. All right, February 28th. There's from right to left is Daniel, Marilyn, Troy Beatty, and that's her brother and brother's wife. This was taken in 2015. 9 years ago, December 25th, Christmas. The Beatties had a house right on some kind of a river thing there. It's really a nice place. I would have highly recommended they stay there. It's pretty cool, you have airboats going, those pontoon things with the propeller on the back, coming in and out of that area, where they explore, fish, whatever they do with those pontoon thingies. Mostly take people on tours. Well, the wildfires, they were whipping through that, I guess, are whipping through the let's turn that down one more. The panhandle, the very top, that rectangular kind of panhandle of Texas is, on fire. 80, 90,000 acres have been, you can see the treetops they're just gone. The leaves have been stripped away. And so these fire people are raking through the coals to make sure everything's been put out. There are other firefighters doing other things. But, it's real high winds, and it's affecting. Disaster has been called. Governor Greg Abbott issued a disaster declaration for 60 counties, as the largest fire burned nearly 400 square miles. God. Jesus. According to the Texas A&M Forest Service. Whew. That's more than twice its size since the fire sparked on Monday. And authorities did not put out the fire thoroughly, and it started back up in high winds, and you lose 400 square miles. Simply because the fire department didn't put it out properly to begin with, a couple of days ago. Anyway, so that's the way it goes. They do the best they can. Here's another shot, which you can see. Do a little expando there. A little smoky soot. Yeah. I mean, I remember smelling, smoke from when the Everglades get on fire. And the wind comes from west to east. And you can smell the burning palm, vegetation, mostly palms, cabbage palms. Anyway, so it turned into a widening wildfire because of incredibly high winds. Oop, my watch just clicked off there, so I might as well just plug that in to my super fast charger. Yeah, down to 25%. So get that. You can see that. There you go. You can see the watches. Maybe I can rotate that around a little bit. See the watch. 11 o'clock. There it is, 11.00. Yep. I've been talking I got 29 minutes left. I've been speaking for 31 minutes. I try to keep it in an hour, you know. It goes over an hour, people tune out. This is Simulcast broadcast, so I have about 1,000 friends. And of course, if you know the handle, which is the @ FAU for you. FAU for you. And I think the YouTube one is capital JIM, capital W, 5596. I think that's my handle on either technically deficient when it actually comes to the operating of the social networks. I'm a content provider. Marilyn she looks at it a lot. I just provide these broadcasts and post pictures and things, but I don't deal with seeing what other people do. Well, there's the Trump. Can you imagine owning a jet like that? It's a little $100 million investment. So it's all been redecorated and everything. There's a special little bump right there for telemetry, so he can be connected to the satellites with regard to instantaneous telephonic and internet connectivity. Because you're in a big aluminum tube that's sealed except for, pressurized cabin and all that kind of stuff. Except for the windows and the front and on each side. But yeah, it's a $100 million deal. Got his name painted on it. And when the plane lands, pulls up to the gate area, wherever, it is clean as a whistle. I mean, that sucker is, even the dirtiest parts of the engine, everything is hand polished. It's just, it's expensive to keep a plane like that in that kind of condition. But he does. This multi-billionaire. It's nice to have a multi-billionaire in the White House, because then you're not subject to receiving checks from China, augmenting your, officiating over these various, plus the son got a $3.5 million check from a female oligarch from Russia. You talk about Russia. He actually received, they've got the proof of the, bank deposits. $3.5 million from this lady, oligarch, from Russia. All arranged through father and son, ended up in the son's pocket, and then it gets distributed back to a bunch of family members. You wonder how come, Biden on a $180,000 salary has three $6 million, mansion houses on the beach in 2 other locations. How'd that happen? Well, because he's taking money under the table. And there's Haley, billionaire GOP donors pivot to congressional elections after Haley's run fades. And she's fading fast because she's yet to win anything. And now Trump is winning huge margins. She had her best shot when she was in New Hampshire. and she couldn't pull it because, you have a lot of Democrats vote Republican because you can cross over. And so, that was her best chance for a lot of crossover votes, so they can beat up Trump, if she could win a state, that would be, but it didn't happen, even with the crossovers. And he interviewed some of these crossovers, I saw it on Fox News, and they said, oh yeah, coming election, there's no way I'm voting for her. I'm voting for, Biden. I just wanted to, mix it up a little bit and vote for her, in the primary to give Trump a headache. That was she got, it was estimated 8 to 10% of the votes she got were from crossovers just to beat up Trump. Yeah, so crazy. Politics is very complicated. That's why I'm trying to explain it a little bit, in case, there's nothing worse than an uninformed electorate. That is the most, I forget who said that, but it was said a long time ago. Anyway, whoops, where'd my clock go? My time clock. There it is. It keeps takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Okay, California governor launches ads to fight abortion travel bans. So you can see, you talk about Slick Willie. This guy he could sell your own underpants back to you. This guy he's the governor of California, and he is bad news bear. His state is in a travesty. They have all kinds of water problems. They have all kinds of power problems, with brownouts and all this stuff. He used to be, I think, the mayor of San Francisco. That's a complete disaster. It's like his hometown. You can't even step through parts of, Southern California. Well, they cleaned it all up for, when President Xi showed up from China. And after that, they repainted the streets and this. It was like Disney. All of a sudden, it was right back the way it was. And now, 1 week after Xi, went back home, all these scumbags moved back. So they can move them out. They just won't. Because of the I don't know. What's the matter with these guys? Law and order is law and order. When I grew up in the North Shore of Long Island, they had what is known as vagrancy laws. And if you didn't have a place to be, they'd arrest you and put you in jail. And then the only way you get out of jail is you'd have to find a place to be. So, it could be public housing, it could be whatever the heck. Or you move in with Aunt Louise. But you can't be on the streets. They would arrest you due to the vagrancy laws. Some of the, I guess, I don't know whether those laws are just too old and they have other kinds of laws. But anyway, they're not following the law in Southern California. And this guy wants to maybe run for president, maybe in 2028, for sure. Or maybe he's standing in the sidelines in case, Mr. Biden, President Biden falls flat on his face. This guy's, he visited the White House and there was no one there. So he's walking around the grounds because he has, security clearance, I guess, because of his being a governor in California. And but the president wasn't even there, and he's walking around the White House, and he's got his sleeve, white sleeve with his sleeves rolled up a little bit, like I'm a working guy. Yeah, this guy never worked a day in his life. He's been on the public payroll. So, what do you want the whole country to end up the way California is? Talk about open borders. This country would be in the toilet if he got in there for 8 more years. Oh my God, we got to stop this now. And I think the American public has awakened. These elections are real close. There's 40,000 votes spread around 5 different states. That was the difference between Biden being president and Trump being president. The blue states voted for Biden in huge numbers. But, we have an electoral college. You win state by state. The votes don't spill over, so to speak. We don't have a pure population vote. It's like in baseball. It doesn't matter how many hits you get. It doesn't matter how many votes you get. It's how many runs you get. How many home runs? Don't tell me how many times you've been to first base. Don't tell me how many times you've been to second base. Sure, you can keep track of all that. And you got, he hit a 2-hitter, he got a 1-hitter. He hit a triple, Home runs. How many home runs against how many home runs? Well, that's how our government is. How many states? How many electors in each state, which corresponds to the number of congressmen that you have, the number of congressional districts. Anyway, so here's the mission. Wait a minute, I have Manfrotto. You see that? Manfrotto. You see that right there? They make very, very good camera accessories, like tripods, monopods and tripods. See, that's a Manfrotto. It's a carbon fiber, which is super lightweight, folds up real nice. You put it in a little skinny bag and hang it from your, when you're going from place to place with your trusty camera. Anyway, so this is someone did a review of this tripod, which is super duper. I have some mini Manfrotto stuff. I have one here holding up these headphones. And I have another one over here holding up this camera over here. Sticking straight up from the very easterly end of my studio, which is the size of a 24-inch by 60-inch table. I go 2 feet deep and 6 feet long. And then I go another foot that way. But the edge of wetness right here, it goes 6 feet. And then I got another, so I go 8 feet by 24 inches. That's it. I'm going to place on my chair, and I got a good old brother multi-function color laser printer behind me, which I had in my office, which is now here, because I don't have that office anymore. It was in Southern Security Bank Corp. All right. So the Michigan, there's the Texas wildfires. 40,000 acres burned. 2,000 acres burned. 30,000 acres burned. Jesus, 300,000 acres burned. You got 400,000 acres that got torched. You can see they're all on the very top part of the panhandle. And it's Mills Creek. There's 75 acres burned over there. Not connected with those. All right, let's get on with what happened with. There you go. There's that was on this TV up here. I got a TV monitor up here, and I took a picture of it when they came up with that. When Fox News came up with this thing at 7:13. See, it says Central Time, 6:13. CT, Central Time. That's when let's see if it shows up on the edit. Shows up, there it is, 7:14 a.m., February 28th. That's when the image 2070, which got added to the other 82,000 pictures on my phone. Can you imagine? 82,000 pictures. That's a lot of pictures. There's more than that. I don't remember. Anyway, so Trump wins Michigan by 68% of the vote, and Haley got 26% of the vote. So 26, 36, 46, 56, 66. That's 42 percent points. He won it by 461,000 votes out of about a million. So that's how he got 68%. You can do the math. Anyway. So I think it's a proportional state. So he gets 70% of 16. 75% of 16 would be 12, right? So he gets 11. And she gets 30% of 16. So it's 5, Michigan, that's the Republican primary. Race is called. Trump wins with 99% of the vote counted. You wonder what the other 1% is? I worked in a precinct, so I got to understand how they work. I was in charge of the scanners. How about that? That's where all the trouble is with the scanners. Yep, I managed 2 scanners in a precinct. There was actually two precincts in one location, so they had a scanner for each. But they were sitting side by side, and I managed both those scanners. The scanners, what do you call it? 400 scanners. I have a booklet here somewhere that the training book. I should really get a hold of Palm Beach County and see maybe if I'll do the presidential election. You got to take a 6-hour class. I mean, it's basically volunteer work. They pay you, but they don't pay you. Pay you $15 an hour, but you got to, you work at 16 hours. Which you got to get there an hour before. It's open 12, and you're there a couple hours afterwards, because I'm always there helping the head clerk close it up. And you got all this balancing act you got to do, and count the votes and count the defective ballots, because the electorate louses them up, and you got to issue them a provisional ballot, and then you got to put this, and you got to keep track of these. I was working, and the lady was tearing them up. I said, "What are you doing? You can't tear those up. What do you mean? You got to fish those out of the trash can. You can't think of those as $100 bills. You got to keep track of those $100 bills. You can't throw them away. You put them in a special folder. These people have no, Well, I wasn't properly trained. I said, yeah, I can see that. I said, I'm just a banker. All I know is, each one of those ballots is like a stock certificate. You don't tear them up. If they get marked up, you put them in a folder, and the central office will then properly account for the fact that there was a destroyed ballot. Because if they gave you 1,000 ballots, you better give them 990 ballots back, and then the 10 that were loused up, because everything has to add up to that 1,000. You don't get to throw anything away. Nope. That's not the way it works. All right, the Michigan primary race is called for the Democrats. Biden wins with 99% of the precincts counted. So what's the other 1%, I was going to say? And that is, the provisional ballots and all that, and they go through, and it takes them a whole day to go through all that stuff, because each precinct turns them in, and you got to look at all of them and see and make sure there's no double counting. And, yeah, so that's that 1%, maybe 1/2 of 1%. So when it's 99%, that means pretty much all the precincts have submitted their counts. They add them up, they tabulate them, and Mr. Biden has 617,728 votes. And 100,000, almost 101,000 people, 13% of the vote said, no, I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for nobody, but I'm here voting. 13% of everybody said, I'm voting for nobody. Uncommitted, they call it. That's not good. If those 13% stay home, for example, the other candidate, the Republican candidate, probably win Michigan. You can't have 100,000 people sit out the election because they're unmotivated for the Democratic candidate, which is the incumbent president. Okay. This is interesting. Researchers reveal that the most effective treatment for tinnitus is this. And I happen to have one. Because Marilyn had a boo-boo that needed healing. She had some surgery. So this is a device, HelioPet. It's a lithium-ion doodad. I'll show it to you. It's on low power mode. You see, it's a very bright. You can see how bright it is. Red laser. So this is on its lowest setting. The highest setting is, real red. I mean, real bright. And, you put your hand against it and you can feel the warmth from it. But they say, push that right against your ear and it'll excite the inner membranes of your ear area. They do it on both sides. It's best to do it for about 15 minutes each side. And you can see this guy has, a similar kind of a hand laser thing right in his. Now he's got eye protection and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to look at it, which I wasn't looking at it flashing around. The reflective light. It's a low energy laser, and it's a therapeutic. It basically stimulates all the arteries and veins in the wherever the treatment is. So if you have something that won't heal up, you put that right on that and rotate that around and massage that for about a 10-minute treatment, and it'll really help, healing something up. But don't look at it because it's in the very red part of the spectrum, and it is extremely bright, and it's a single frequency, so it could tend to damage part of your retina, so I don't want to do that. All right, Marilyn, look at this. Marilyn made some, these are like tomatoes, and see there, she sliced them with a real sharp knife. She's got these mozzarella balls. They were marinated and soaked, I believe, this morning. She had that, and then this is like spinach leaves, probably, or no, what do you call it? Trying to think of not oregano. What do you? I was growing out back on the patio. Anyway, you probably know what it is. But you see how beautiful that is? I mean, the tomatoes are beautiful color. There's and they're all on skewers, which you can see here. You can see, a wooden skewer there. But I was, I rotated the tray so you can see how attractive it was. The tomatoes the size of, like a quarter. So you can see there's a skewer. Tomato, mozzarella, basil. That's it, basil. yeah, basil. Easier for me to say. Tomato, mozzarella. So, and it's all soaked, with the vinaigrette. Marvelous. There's the whole tray she made up. And you can see there's all kinds of, I went to the office, 50 of those. She was up early this morning putting all that together. So it was nice and fresh. She got this nice serving tray. Okay, that's a little promotion for Marilyn's kitchen work. Nice job. She even did a little dance here at the bottom of the tray with the balsamic vinaigrette. Marvelous. Whew. I love that sprinkled on some iceberg lettuce. Fresh iceberg wedge. Okay, so Apple cancels its out of the electric car business. For a decade, it's been working on the electric car, the design, it was one of Steve Jobs' pet projects. And they had like 1,000 employees assigned to, 200 or 300 of them were to deal with the super duper cruise control, which could be considered autopilot, and they pulled the plug on it. So you know what, we're not going anywhere with this. So the top 20 people, probably, I'm guessing a little bit. I think I read the top 2, but it's probably the top 20. The lead department heads, they'll be put out into different departments of their choice. And the rest, the other, let's say 100 of them, they've got handshake deals with everybody because they knew the plug was being pulled on this. It's just a matter of when they were going to publicly announce it. So the top 100, they found themselves other homes. So they transfer over into another department. Well, the other 900, guess what? You got to reapply. So you had to fill out an application to get in some other departments. And if you don't get picked, you get adiosed. So that's what's going on in Apple. Now with the 40,000 employees, it's 1,000, but it's 1,000 employees. What the heck? It's one. It's a couple percent of the whole company. Bam! They just killed the project. All right. There's a good reason Haley's still running. And it's not because of Trump's legal problems. Who knows? Maybe she decides to do a third. You got a Republican candidate, Democratic candidate, and you got her as an independent candidate. I don't know if she in theory has time to get on all the states, because you got to get on the ballots. And I think you had to get on all the ballots, like a month or so ago. Anyway, Harry and Meghan were dangerously chased through Manhattan not long ago. I remember reading about it. Well, now it's like headline news. They were being chased by bad guys, and they were running to avoid getting pushed and, manhandled in some way, with their jewelry, taken or wallets taken, purses taken, their dignity taken. So they ran off and they got themselves buried, in a safe public area, and that was the end of that. But they don't have a protection detail like all the rest of our U.S. politicians, and the UK is not providing the protection service that they would normally have if they stayed in the royal, sanctioned, people. He gave it up so that he and her could go to California. Well, now they don't want to be in California anymore, or I don't know, something's going on with them where they're trying to sell the $15 million house that they bought or committed to. Something's going on there. And she didn't get the kind of assignments that she thought she was going to get. I don't know. I don't get the big deal with her, actually. I saw her, in the Suits program. She was, a very compelling, young lady in the Suits. 7 or 8 years that they had seasons. So it was very interesting. She was a paralegal of sorts, or a head secretary, fictitious law firm in Southern California. And all kinds of things going on with her and one of the fresh young lawyers that came into the firm. Anyway, here all these kids are medical students in the Einstein Medical School. The Einstein School of Medicine in, I think, Brooklyn, New York. My hometown. And there was a benefactor that gave $1 billion, that's a lot of zeros. They gave $1 billion, this lady, 94-year-old lady, very wealthy, obviously, when you can give up $1 billion. And they said, Einstein University School of Medicine, that doesn't go into your coffers. That pays every student's tuition for the 4 or 5 years they're here. It pays 100% of their tuition until the $1 billion is spent. And then it stays in an account, whereas new students come in, they come in tuition free. So there'll be no tuition at the Einstein School of Medicine until that $1 billion runs out. And then we'll decide if I give you another $1 billion. Anyway, $1 billion, that goes a long way. I mean, medical school, what does that cost? A couple $100,000. Let's say $250,000. Let's do some fast math. Got my trusty calculator right here. $1 billion. Let's see, that's a lot of zeros. That's $1 million. I believe that's $1 billion. Tens, 100,000s, millions, billions, 1 billion. Let's divide that number by, let's say it costs $300,000 to go through medical school. Equals, that's 3,333 students, tuition free, all 4 years. And yep, that's right, order of magnitude. 300,000 by 3,333 is $1 billion. Yep. So there were, I don't know how many students are in there, probably. Maybe 2,000 students in that auditorium, maybe 2,500. Anyway, so it paid all their tuitions. We'll have to look up what the enrollment is of the Einstein School medicine. Yeah, we could try to find it on the internet. Let's see. Do I have a? How many students in the Einstein School of Medicine? In the Einstein School of Medicine. There you go. Let's see if we got an answer. I had to speak up. Allow. Okay, whoop. Okay, there's the answer. Right here. You can see it right there. In color. During the 2023-2024 academic year, the College of Medicine is home to 373 MD students, 209 PhD students, and 124 students in the combined MD-PhD program, and 239 postdoctoral research fellows. Okay? I was one of those, but it was post Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. So that's, okay, 750, I'm just going to round up, 950, 975, 1,075, 11, so 13, let's just say 1,300 students. So that's good. So they have plenty of money to pay up, I figured up 3,000 students. They've only got, like 1,200. So it's good for, the next, 4, 8, 12 years worth of tuitions. How nice is that? $1 billion goes a long way. The Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Yep. Let's hit that button right there. Probably there's some pictures. It's been around for 60 years. Diverse faculty and staff. Standards of excellence. Okay. And you can see there's probably some robotics. They stuck a thing in the box and they're using their fingers to control. There's a squeezy thing there, and for some internal medicine, abdominal stuff where they can, tie off arteries and maneuver without having to, do it with their fingers, because this robotics things are more accurate. They're smaller. You can control it with your hand. You have to practice, obviously. More than 9,000 Einstein alumni are among the nation's foremost clinicians, biomedical students, and medical educators. Yeah, cool. I was actually a pre-med student, and when I was a young whippersnipper, and I was very driven. I was, in the full chemistry program, and about halfway through my sophomore year, I said, yep, I think I'm going to do this pre-med thing. So I had to catch up, 2.5 years worth of biology stuff, in order to satisfy their prerequisites to get into the advanced biology classes. Yep, so I did it. So I just about had a double major in biology and chemistry. And boy, did I know that biochemistry. And, when I took the MCAT, the medical college admission tests, it had a lot of biochemistry on it. And guess what? I knew that stuff inside and out. I could, read the answers, go through the 4 or 5 answers to a question, and I could tell which answer was close and which one was best. I knew that stuff. I had an unfair advantage because my major was biochemistry and my other major was biology. So in the biology part, they didn't really, everybody that's pre-med knows the biology, but how many of you turkeys know anything about biochemistry? Well, this turkey knew plenty about biochemistry. So I did very well on the medical college admission test. When you go to law school, you take the LSAT, which is the law, the law SAT. The MCAT is the medical college admission test. You got the LSAT, and then you got there's another one I took, it's the one you take for like graduate. Oh, yeah, the graduate college admissions test, the GCAT, graduate school admission test, the graduate GSAT. Yeah, I took. Oh, the GRE. That's what it is. The graduate record exam. I knew different acronyms. The GRE, the graduate record exam, and of course then you pick your major, which of course is chemistry. So I took the GRE, did well on that, and I took the MCAT, and I got very, very high on that. Matter of fact, I got a nice scholarship situation in the state of Kentucky, actually. Anyway, my girlfriend said, I don't even know who my father is, because he was a doctor and he was never home. And if you and I are going to get married and we're going to have any children, maybe, I want them to know who their father is. So you got to decide, me or medical school. So stupid me picked her. And then a year later, she dumped me. Yeah, Vicky Wallen dumped me like a hot rock. And was fooling around with, because she went to Case Western Reserve. And she was fooling around with somebody at Case Western Reserve, and I was down there in Union College in Kentucky. And so before I actually graduated, with a combined degree, BA, BS, Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science, I was left holding the bag, as they say. And then I didn't take advantage of my scholarship. I probably could have gone back to them and said, oops. You think you'd take me anyway? I think they would have, because I scored so well, and I was, a nice young kid. I didn't have any trouble, so I was extremely academic. And I would have been, I guarantee you, I would have been a really, really good clinician as an MD. There'd have been things named after Jimmy, because I'm an engineer kind of guy. So, thoracic surgeon probably. Probably working on the heart. The brain. The other thing that interested me was radiology. The electron microscopes and, looking at, trying to look at DNA structures and all that. I might have gone into the radiology field, which is, X-rays, MRI, all the CAT scan stuff. Because, it's a huge business, in the medical field. I think about it like a business, but, of reading those things correctly. And then you write a report. You dictate a report, and what you see when you're looking at the results of the MRI or a CAT scan or an X-ray or, electron microscopy. How about that for a word? See if you can spell that one. Electron microscopy. All right, it's 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 6 seconds. And I see my 1 hour timer is expired 15 minutes ago. I need to put like a spotlight on that. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap this up. It's 11:45. I should probably try to figure out have some kind of a lunch situation. And so anyway, so I wish you all a nice day, and we'll see you in the morning. Tomorrow will be Thursday morning. I'll probably get on there, a little bit earlier, maybe, like at the 9 o'clock time. I'll try to think. Let's try 9 o'clock tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Meantime, enjoy about 30 seconds of epidemic sound. Bye-bye.